Hey everybody, Bernie Floresca here with a resume session. We have with us Dev and Ahad. So we started with Dev going to the LinkedIn group. Actually, can you start it from the beginning with the LinkedIn group, Dev?
Sure. Right.
So Illinois Tech Career Services. Well, I'll show them how to get to the index first. You kind of
Sure.
skipped a step for newbies. All right. Thank you. Once you're in the Illinois Tech Career Services, you want to go to groups. Very good. Thank you. And then if you're not part of it, it's going to say join. Dev is part of it. So he can go into the group directly. And then all you have to do is scroll down like Dev did. I see you got to be an expert really quick, Dev. I see you played around with this a lot. Good job. So you go to any comment in any post in the LinkedIn group and then click index, which Dev is clicking. Where it says index. And then the topic that we're discussing today is this page is an at a glance. So we're talking about resume, obviously. Ahad, stand by with your resume, by the way, because we're going to go back and forth. I mean, this is a workshop. We want to make it very hands-on for all of you guys, both active participants, Dev and Ahad, and people listening in. So you're going to hashtag resume. This document, by the way, was not originally intended as an index to make it easy to navigate to. We just put hashtag in front of the topic. So the topic, for example, is resume. So when you type in hashtag resume, hashtag international, hashtag interview, you get to the topic. So for this particular session, Dev is going to the 8th or 9th bullet that says resume design principles. And Ahad, I want you to tell me what 2 points are very important in number one. Before I ask Dev.
Can you go again? Like
number one,
connection here.
Number one, I want you to get 2 points out of it. What are they?
For the resume?
It's on the screen right now. You see number one?
Oh yeah, I think like the hiring manager in their job description. Yeah.
Say that again?
Yeah, think like the hiring manager and their job description.
Why is that important?
Yeah, because you have to think like them because it's easy for them to go through your resume because they have something in mind going on. That's the thing that they're looking for. If you're going through like their job description and you have all the stuff that is in the job description in your resume, so it's easy for them to go through it, so they can easily like select the candidate for interviews.
I would translate the way you're saying it's easy for them. It's more relevance. Okay, you're relevant to them is what's going on. If you think of the job description. So Dev, the reason I asked you to do this was when you were showing me the resume with your research part. Actually, let's go back to your resume, Dev. So this is what makes the design principles very active. So tell me what you were telling me again about the research assistant, Dev, and that you said you made it much more. What did you talk about here?
I tried to make it much more quantifiable with my with all the things that I'm working on.
What about the first part that we're talking about? Did you make it relevant? Is the question.
Currently, no.
Okay, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Do you see how this is a problem? Okay, go back to that design principle. So thank you for being honest there, Dev. But the reason we talk about resumes, and especially if you want to be efficient, the biggest problem with resume is most people think that because it's a document about themselves, they can pretty much put whatever they want in it. But with the magnitude of the number of resumes that are out there, if you want to be seen, number one, you have to be relevant. Okay, so very good, Ahad. You said that one of the things that I want you to get out of number one is that you have to be relevant to the hiring manager via their job description. And the second part of number one, which Dev alluded to, what's important in the second part in number one, Ahad?
Yeah, the same thing that I was going through. Like it's easy for them to go through your resume, And because when you have the relevant information as
No,
per the
no, no, no,
job
no, 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 no,
description.
no, no, no. You didn't understand my question. Still talking about number one. There's a second point in number one. What's the
Oh,
second
okay.
point?
Ensure the resume all others. Oh, you have to like put when you are highlighting like all the bullet points in your work experience or your the projects, you have to highlight your accomplishments like that is related to the job description. Like if the job says like if the job has like more things to do with customer relations, you have to put certain metrics that relates to customers like directly. So that's gonna like give the hiring manager a good point to like select you if you are like directly relating to the job description.
So let me unpack that. Why is it good to the reader?
Because that's what they're looking for, right?
No, this one said specifically ensure that it highlights results and accomplishments versus task descriptions. Why is that crucial?
Yeah, because if you're just putting like generic things that everyone is putting, that's not gonna like stand you out from other candidates.
Very good. So let's go back to Dev. That's actually what Dev, he did a good job actually in his, let's see the resume again, Dev. In that research assistant, if you notice, he talked about results all over the place. However, he admitted that it wasn't tailored to a specific job description. So you
So I
see what's
tried,
missing? You see what's missing, Dev?
yeah. So I tried to create like a baseline for me first. Afterwards, I can tailor it to a specific job description.
Okay, so this is your baseline version,
Yeah.
so to speak. And I'm glad you said that. Baseline is good. I would actually recommend instead of calling it your baseline resume, I would call it your baseline repository, because it
Uh,
should be the master of all the way you wrote your phrases to the point that we're making, that it's impactful. Okay, so I'm glad that you created a baseline repository and it's going to include this. So when you start tailoring to okay, so in order for us to be effective with this discussion, because if I don't have a target, because you just set a baseline, then this discussion isn't going to help you. So think of a job description that's closest to this version. Can you do that, Dev?
sure.
All right, so you have the job description in mind, right?
Mhm.
What would you modify in Research Assistant according to that job description?
So, in my research assistant for this 4 points, there are a lot of different technologies which are being used, and mostly in most of the job descriptions that I've seen, they don't really put all of these technologies together. So I try to like separate them out. If there's a job description about computer vision or something like that, I'll try to include and elaborate more on these 2 points, much more,
Why?
because it's a vision language model and it's also a CNN model, which
Okay,
might
talk more
more.
generically and related to what we're discussing. We're saying you need to know what the job description is asking for, but you said the job description is kind of ambiguous. It doesn't necessarily talk about this, but you came up with a strategy. And tell me more about your strategy to attack the ambiguous job description. Is this making sense, Ahad?
Yes.
Okay, because in a way, based on what I'm hearing from Dev, the target is kind of like moving or unclear. So Dev has some sort of idea to be relevant. And what was your game plan, Dev?
So the game plan was to try and tackle a lot of different job descriptions, which
Okay, hang on. That's not a good strategy, actually. Okay, I'm going to squash it right there. It makes sense, and a lot of people do that. To be relevant to more people, they want to generalize it. But in a very tough job market, they're looking for specialists. So if a resume comes across as a generalist, you're kind of at the bottom of the pile. Does that make sense?
yes.
Questions? Either of you guys have questions?
Yeah,
No
actually, we have a
questions?
question. Actually, like there are a lot of job posting going on that have like generic idea behind it. Like, do you have to learn a lot of tools? Because most of the jobs ask you for like multiple tools, especially in the IT and computer sciences. So it's really hard to like tackle that problem. You have to put a lot of things in the resume to stand out, like every tools, every
Hang on.
technology.
You guys aren't catching what I'm saying. Okay, so maybe Deb isn't a good example. Ahad, do you have a job description that you know of that you tailored a resume to?
But yeah, my resume is tailored to like
Okay,
NLP
cool.
problems.
Why don't we skip to Deb? Okay, I'm trying to make a point, but your resume and the situation is not helping me explain it. So do you mind if I moved over to Ahad's resume? Maybe we have better luck there. So please stop sharing. Ahad, please share your resume. And then let's focus on the job description. So while we're waiting for Ahad, questions, Deb, about the point I was trying to make. I see your strategy. It's like to the point we're making, you're saying, okay, they're not specific, it's ambiguous. I'm going to be ambiguous myself.
Yeah.
It's the strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it sounds like a good strategy, but I would rather you guys got the point that's trying to be made so that you can find other ways by matching ambiguity with ambiguity. Okay. So Ahad, do you have the job description in mind for this resume?
Yeah, this resume is like tailored for mostly AI and NLP job
Okay.
descriptions where
Good.
people are working on agentic
Yes.
AI and using
Yes.
OpenAI services and other
All right.
services to build
Good.
models on it.
I don't mean to cut you off, okay? But when you start getting to technologies, I want to talk about the concepts first. You guys are the specialties. You guys are the people looking at the job descriptions and what your knowledge base is. Discussions about resume efficiency is not necessarily diving into the technical stuff. That's what you're going to school for, okay? I need you to
Okay.
grasp the concept so that you could apply the technical for the technical person reading this resume, okay? So I want you to grasp the concept. You read the job description, you know what they're looking for, you know what you have to put on the table. So our task is, after studying the job description and knowing what your results are, you want to craft a beautifully matching resume such that when they look at it, it goes back to point number one. You're very, very relevant. So did you do some of that work, Ahad?
Oh yeah. So last time when I was applying for a position, it was a Gen AI engineer. So these are all the projects that are related to Gen AI, which has NLP, RAG-powered documents. So these are all the technologies that we use in NLP and AI. But right now in the market, it's like trending in the market right now. Every company is working on Gen AI. So these projects are all Gen AI, and even my experience
Hang
with
on,
data
hang on,
analysts.
hang on. Let me dive right into this, okay? So here's the strategy that I'm talking about. Human being reading this, their eyes go from the top of the document to the bottom. The first experience that I see, let's see, you have 1, 2, 3 projects, 3 experiences that are projects. And then further down, work experience, you have data analyst, 4. So you have 4 experiences to look at, right? Okay. So Deb, how many experiences total did you have? Both work, internships, and projects. How many did you have? 5. All right.
Yes.
So watch this question I'm asking Ahad. According to the job description that you're tailoring this to, out of the 4 work experiences, which one is the top match? Twitter sentiment, brag, nurse assistant, or data analyst? Do you need me to repeat the question? Ahad? Did we lose Ahad? Deb, say something. I'm wondering.
Hello.
Okay, you're good. Sounds like
Yes.
you disappeared. All right, so let's go back to your resume until he comes back. I'll ask you the same question. So it's critical for our discussion that you have a job description in mind, okay, Deb? So the same question, I think I asked you this the last time, and that's why I know your research assistant was number 1. right? Deb, you're muted.
Hello.
Okay, did you hear what I just said? Your research assistant was number one, right?
Yes,
All
because
right.
it's like the most relevant thing
Okay,
I've done compared to Gen AI and machine learning
gotcha.
stuff.
So the next question that I have for you is, if I were a hiring manager, what's more important to me? Skills, your skills section, or
Mm.
applied skills, also known as work experience?
For sure, my work experience and my
Okay,
project.
very good. Go back to the design principle number 2. So what does design principle number 2 say?
Hiring managers have little time. Give them easy, fast access to relevant information.
Okay, so how does the question to you about skills and work experience come into play? Which one do you think would be more important to them? See, part of the strategy is they're very busy. That's why you want to give them the information they want immediately, right?
Yeah.
So what can we do to your resume based on that?
Shift my applied skills a bit upwards too.
Shift your applied skills. Yes. Well, actually, skills would be under work experience.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Here's so just like I was asking uh, Ahad earlier. So you have three. You have 3 or 4?
Uh,
5.
right.
So if the top relevance is research assistants, what's the second relevant?
It's unstable. It's a
Okay.
project.
And what's the third relevant?
It's like it's the software analysis,
Soccer. Okay. Fourth relevant.
the software engineering.
Okay. Did you see how you're kind of all over the place?
Yeah.
So it's not too bad to address what we were saying. Sometimes a summary is a good solution to what you're trying
Okay.
to fix. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So actually go to the index, please. Let's take a look at case study 5. Case study 5,
The
old.
better. Oh,
Go for old first so that you kind of relate it. And then take a look at the resume. There's a square at the bottom. Welcome back,
Oh, I'm
Ahad.
so sorry. I had some connection problem and I just got disconnected.
I know, we figured that much. So
Yeah.
just take a look at what I'm talking about here, Ahad, and then we'll go right back to you. So we opened up one of the case studies, and then this, well, I think both of your resumes are much better than this. This was the first resume of Benjamin, but did you see the same thing I pointed out, Deb, that his skills was above volunteer work?
yes.
So if you think about it, Ahad, I asked Dev earlier, what's more important to the reader? Is it the skills or is it the applied skills, also known as experience? And then Deb said it's the applied skills. So part of what we were talking about, actually, can you go back to the design principles, please, Deb, so that we could catch Ahad up? So the second point of the design principles. So take a look at number 2, Ahad. It's saying that the hiring managers have very little time. They're very busy. So part of what you need to do, because sometimes they just glance at your resume. If they don't see what they're looking for, you don't want to give any opening for them to say not relevant. So that's why you need to give what they're looking for immediately, easy fast access, sooner versus later. So back to your resume, Dev. So the point we were making, Ahad, was his skills was above applied skills, also known as work experience. So now he's going to switch it around, okay? As a
Yes, before
change,
the
as a
first the
change.
projects and then the skills.
No, not necessarily the projects. The reason I'm asking you the questions, and if you notice when I asked you, Ahad, I said you had both projects and then you had experience. And actually, I noticed in your case that you put the projects first, I'm hoping the reasoning is because of design principle number 2, that what was relevant to the reader of your resume was the projects according to the
Yeah,
job description.
because my job description was data analyst, and the project, like the job description was Gen AI. So my projects were more related to like the JD,
Very
and
good.
my experience was like more data analyst.
So do you see why I didn't quite say, yes, projects have to go first, or yes, work experience has to go first? What has to go first is what's relevant, okay? In Deb's situation, research assistant was relevant. However, his next relevant experience was
Project.
unstable and soccer. And then the software engineer above was actually less important than unstable in soccer. So we need to have some sort of solution to bring that above. And I was telling Deb before you came back, Ahad, that a summary might be the solution. So go back to the case study, Deb, so that I demonstrate what I just said. X out of this tab. And then I want you to go back to the better version. So if you open up bottom right, the summary could be a solution to the mismatch of the chronological arrangement of your resume versus what you know is relevant, okay? For example, Deb was quote unquote all over the place with relevance, so a solution could be a summary, just like what you're seeing. You get to tell them at the top of the resume what they're looking for versus waiting for them to scan the resume and quote unquote find what they're looking for. Did I make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Questions about that point?
No, really.
Okay, good. So let's, thanks, Deb. Let's go back to Ahad, and I will ask him the relevance question that we tried to ask him before he got cut off.
Do you want me to share my resume?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I want to ask you the question and relate it to number 1, design principle number 1 and number 2. So Ahad, the question I asked you just as you got dropped off is, I said you have 1, 2, 3, 4 relevant information or experiences. This is where I was saying, in your case, projects came ahead and you just told us that the project was more relevant. I'm going to dive even deeper, okay, so that you guys can do this on your own. According to the job description that you thought of, Ahad, which one is top relevance according to your 4 experiences?
I think the first one would go the
Twitter sentiment?
No,
Twitter
the second
sentiment?
one. The second one, the
Okay,
so the Twitter sentiment is like the basics of
hang
what.
on. Don't dive into the details, okay? You guys are trying to dive into the details with me. You guys know that. I need you to understand the design principles so that you can apply it to your resume, okay? So 4 projects, according to you, top priority, top relevance is RAG powered, okay?
Yeah.
So what's the second top priority?
Any of them can come.
Any is not
Yeah.
good, okay? You need to take responsibility for what the reader decides about your relevance or not. So when you said any of them will do, that's not a good answer. You, according to your studying of the job description, have to make a call as to which one is more relevant. This is part of the psychology of resume. Which one?
Yeah, then I would say like the nurse assistant and then the Twitter sentiment analysis.
Okay, so in your case, it's RAG, then nurse assistant, and then Twitter, and then data analyst.
Yeah.
Okay, so in your case, you might benefit also from a summary, because the way your chronology shows up in your resume, because we can't change the chronological listing of experiences. It's always from the most recent to the oldest, okay? However, this is where we're injecting psychology and strategy into the creation of your resume. That's why I like to call it resume efficiency. And I don't just like to call it building a resume because we're incorporating all of those aspects into making you guys stand out. Any questions about that point?
No, I got it.
Okay.
Okay, so what do you think of a summary, Ahad?
The summary for this job description, right? That we are just talking
Well,
about.
you would put it above. Okay, so we'll see how, if you know the index just as well as Deb demonstrated. Good job, by the way, Deb. So I need you to open up another screen. I want you to navigate through what you need. Open up the next tab, Ahad. Go to the Career Services group.
Second, I have to put it from.
I hope you're logged in.
Oh yeah, I'm logged in. I just have to open it up.
Questions, Deb, while we're waiting?
Nah, I'm fine.
Does that make sense, what we're trying to do?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you see how we're trying to be more relevant, and we're not just doing it just the way that everybody else writes the resume, right? They count on chronological, or they don't even think about it. They just say, okay, they require chronological, here it is. But we're being strategic in that we're trying to give them the information that they need sooner. So you go to hashtag resume, Ahad.
Perfect. I had a quick question about summary.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to structure the summary like under 100 words, or do you have to keep it concise?
Well, it goes back to design principle number 2. If they're very busy, what's the answer to your question?
Yes, but if I try to like pack in all the stuff with my projects and work experience to make it more relevant.
Okay, hang on. Do you really pack in all your stuff to make it relevant? I mean, if you're reading and studying the job description, it's obvious to you what you have to match what they're looking for, right? So the
Yeah.
idea of a summary is not putting everything in your summary. You just want to put the highlights because it's a hook,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
So to your question, does it have to be 100 words? I'm not even going to answer that. It's really about, the relevance.
Oh, okay. All right. Got it.
Okay. What's going on, Ahad?
Yeah, I'm in resume.
Okay,
Index.
so go to one of the case studies below. Click case study 7. 7 better. 7 better. Yes. So bottom right, make it bigger. This square. Then click the plus to make it bigger, please. So Marilyn and I obviously went through the discussion that we did with the design principles. And are you noticing how the summary looks like a summary, which Marilyn is applying what we just spoke of? She knew what the job description was looking for. So the points that she's calling out in the beginning has direct relation to the job description. Okay, so you see its function as a hook now. So back to your question, Deb, it's not really summarizing everything in a summary. Summary is kind of like misleading, but you can call it, I don't know what you could call it. Just call it, at the beginning, they call it summary or objective, or in this particular case, it's more of an abstract, right? Of what you guys are doing relative to what they're looking for. But since the word summary is used a lot, I would just say summary. Questions about what you're reading, Marilyn did. Ahad, do you think you could use this as a solution to your, because it didn't start with the first one necessarily.
Yeah, I can possibly put summary in my resume.
Well, but you see the point, okay? Not everybody needs a summary. It depends on what you have on the table relevant to the job description. So my question to both of you is, do you see the summary as a solution to the relevance, immediate relevance, actually, that we're discussing?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so go ahead.
Experience, right? We have our like bullet point like goes or like the job description.
You're kind of breaking up. Say that again.
Yeah. Yeah, what like when we are like defining our experience and the projects, well, we have more bullet points which are more relevant to the job description. But what she has done is like she has less bullet points in her experience and projects, but she have like compiled everything in the summary.
Well, did you miss the point of the summary? Your question to me tells me that you didn't understand our discussion on summary. Say what you said again.
I'm asking like,
You're really breaking up, man. It's a really bad connection.
things to do.
Can you type it, maybe? We're hearing every other
wait a
word,
second.
man.
Is it fine now? Is it fine now?
Yeah, it starts fine and then it disappears. I don't know if it's the location of your mouth with your mouthpiece.
It's probably my internet, because I have some problem with my internet.
Okay, now it's very clear.
Yeah.
So I wish it would be clear when you ask the question. Try it again.
Yeah, the problem is, when we are writing our experience, we have more bullet points in the experience, right? Like she has only 2 per experience, and we have like 4
Okay,
or 5
hang on,
because we
hang
have
on.
to define our project,
Hang on,
right?
hang on. It's not about the number of bullets, okay? Design principle number 2 says that the readers are very busy. Don't go saying, oh, I need to put 2, I need to put 5. It really is about what did the job description say and what do they need to hear about your background. Nobody's stipulating that it has to be 2 or whatever. I kind of hear you headed that direction and you're saying, oh, she put less here and then she has more here. No. The whole idea is in the summary, when you catch their attention, you'd better be talking about what they're looking for in the job description. And then everything else below is supporting what you started in the beginning. Everything, it's like a whole symphony, right? There's a purpose to everything that we're doing. And it's not just, oh, I need to do this because somebody said that. That's kind of what I heard you start to say. Did I catch you right? Or am I wrong in interpreting what you said?
Yeah, I just wanted to like finish my thing. So when we write like a lot of bullet points, a resume goes through like page or somewhere like. So what you suggest is like we compile everything from the bullet points to the summary, like as per the job description also.
Okay. I'm not asking you to compile. Okay, the overarching strategy is what are they looking for? Tell them what they want immediately. I didn't say compile. There's a difference. Compile to me implies just put some information and make some sort of compilation. What I said is, what did the job description say? You know what your best attributes are. Hook them in the beginning. I don't care how long or how short that hook is, because to Deb's point earlier, what if he has all that experience that's also in the job description? So I'm not going to say keep it short or whatever. It's really about hooking your reader. Are you guys seeing the distinction of my discussion?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so it's all strategy. According to the job description, what are they looking for? And what are your points to get their attention?
Yeah.
And then everything else is supporting. And again, don't give them all sorts of supporting information, because you have to honor the fact that they're very busy. It's not about being complete. It's about being relevant. If you feel that you needed to say more information, hook their attention first, make your resume such that they want to hear more, and then dump on them at the interview.
Yeah.
More questions?
Yeah. Oh, I actually love your analogy about like the symphony and how it's a supporting members, because I used to think of summary as when you think about summary, it's at the very end. So I used to think about the whole
Well, in a
experience.
book, right? In a book.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. So yeah. Because I used to also write my summary at the very end after I finish my resume.
Yeah. And now, because of the fact that they're flooded with resumes, so we're being strategic. Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see advice saying that you shouldn't even include a summary. And why is that? Because people put in their summary the old stuff, like some of the stuff that you're seeing in the old versions of the resume, right? Highly motivated, passionate. I would love to work in your company and include my knowledge. These guys are very busy. They don't honestly care about what it is that you like. They're looking for somebody to match what they need. So you see the different views of summary because of the flood of resumes, you really need to be relevant immediately according to what they want. So I'm glad that the symphony made you relate to that. More questions, guys? Do you know what to do with the information? You can go back to your resume, 𝗏𝗏𝗃, and tell me what you'll change based on what we're talking about so far. And then we'll go to Dev. You can tell me the same thing according to the design principles. Actually, 𝗏𝗏𝗃,
like for design.
while you're out there, scroll back up, please, and take a look at number 4, design principle number 4. Just scroll back up. Okay, number 4. Yes. So it's your job search. Take advice, including what I'm telling you, into consideration, but you decide what you want to do. Okay, these are just suggestions, because at the end of the day, you're the one who's looking for the job, not me or any other advice that you hear out there. Okay, and the reason we take time to get into these details is number 3. When you tailor your resume and you think about your relevance, the same thought process is going to serve you very well during the interview. Because guess what will make you, again, rise above the crowd in an interview? You're telling them what they need to hear according to their job description. And since you already went through the thought process, finding out, relevance, magnitude of what they need to hear first, then you're going to perform much, much better during the interview. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So please go back to your resume, 𝗏𝗏𝗃, and tell me what you're planning on shifting around, changing, ask me questions based on what we've discussed so far.
So the first thing I would do.
Oh, maybe see your resume, please.
Right now, I would
No, let's see your
like,
resume, please.
Can you see my resume now?
No.
Thank you for sharing.
Is this helping, Dev?
Yes.
Okay, because I think this is kind of like we kind of had the general session the first time, so it wasn't really in depth. So I was hoping to bring you to the next stage. That's why I'm going to ask you what you're planning on doing. Okay, 𝗏𝗏𝗃, so based on our discussion so far, I have a question for you.
So yeah, so what I would do is like put the rack when project move it up and move the Twitter sentiment analysis to the end, and then what I would do is like for this particular job, I would put a small summary up there as for like what is relevant to the JD, whatever I'm like trying to target for the job description. I would put a small summary up there and move RAG and nurse assistant to first and second, and the Twitter sentiment analysis.
No, you can't do that. Remember how I said actually here for projects, you did not put dates. So, okay, you're right. You could switch it around because you didn't follow the normal thing where they put dates on the projects as well as experience. So I think you can get away with it by putting RAG powered and nurse assistant first and then Twitter as your last project.
Yes, to
Dev, any observation?
The last and the RAG and nurse.
Sorry? I think we lost him again. I really want to get deeper into your bullets because what's your observation, Dev?
I feel like he has a lot of bullet points.
I agree. I didn't say it. Dev said it. That was exactly my observation, Dev. So, 𝗏𝗏𝗃. Ahad's kind of like in and out,
Yeah.
man. Can't even have a discussion with you.
I have like pretty bad internet right now. I don't know what's
I
happening.
know, man. So, actually, let me try to address your point via Deb's resume. Okay, so I guess you'll have to listen to us. So if you stop sharing, I will attempt to explain what needs to be done in your resume, Ahad, by you listening in to my discussion with Dev. I hope I have some materials. So if you could stop sharing, Ahad, let's
Okay.
go to Dev. Thanks for sharing, Ahad. I wish your internet
Oh, I'm
was
so sorry
better.
about the
Yeah, no
internet.
worries. Is this something that you can
They are
fix?
like working on something outside, so that's why.
Okay. So
The
we can
internet
still have another session, and we're hoping to have a different. Actually, I have. Are you guys on campus tomorrow?
Uh,
No, I'll be traveling to India.
Oh, travel? No, because I had
So,
12:15. I could make it a Zoom call too tomorrow if you guys wanted to.
oh yeah, I can join the Zoom.
It's 12:15 tomorrow. Are you guys available?
nah, I have a classes tomorrow at
Okay,
12.
so Dev's not available. Ahad, you and I can do Zoom if you wish, okay? Hopefully your internet's better tomorrow. So Dev, do what Ahad did. Explain what you're planning on changing, and then we'll try to get into the bullets so that
Uh,
Ahad gets the point.
okay. Shifting my work experience above skill levels to have
Okay,
more applied skills
good.
and working more on my summary. Because currently, when I made my summary, it was much more focused on my recent experiences rather than uh, my whole summary.
Very good.
I also want to You were talking about hooks. I also wanted
Mhm.
to add, currently I only have a driven MS in AI candidate.
Actually,
Because there's a,
driven MSAI candidate isn't like very, I mean, the MS is data, but when you say driven, you're giving this to a stranger. How do they know that you're driven?
yeah, yeah. Because I wanted to add for me, I was thinking while we were like having this talk, I was thinking, how could I have a hook for myself? But I also have a dual degree in AI. So I was thinking if that would work as a hook for myself.
You could actually say that again.
So for a hook, could it work like a dual degree in AI?
Yeah, actually,
Yeah,
that would be good.
yeah,
Versus driven. That point's driven now because it's dual degree.
yeah.
You see what I mean? It makes the point for driven much, much more effectively because now you're giving them evidence.
Hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
because you're saying you have 2 degrees versus you just saying driven. Like, how the heck do they know? No idea. Do you see the difference?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
give them data. That's why you give them results. Because when you give them results, there's no question about it. Okay,
yeah, yeah.
so what else? I think Ahad kind of disappeared. So I guess we'll talk about your bullets.
All right.
So the comment that you gave, I could say the same about your research assistant. What do you
Oh,
have
yeah.
to say? What do you have to say?
Yeah, this was my baseline repository, as you said. So I added everything that I did in this.
Yeah. So what? So okay. Remember design principle number 2, where we said sooner versus later.
Yeah.
So I see you have 4 bullets. Are they arranged from top priority relevance to the least?
Yes.
Very good. So let me take a look at your first one, okay? We say executed large-scale fine-tuning of vision language model, blah, 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 utilizing data sets, refined solar panel defects. That's a mouthful, okay?
Yeah.
Sometimes when people, you know your relevance because this is your experience and you read the job description. So according to you, you know that this is what they're looking for. However, the way you worded it, if they're very busy, may not be able to get it. You're giving them all sorts of details
Hmm.
that they may not necessarily be looking for.
Yeah.
So how do I explain this? Actually, go back to the index. Let me show you some examples. So in between the workshops and the case study, it says resume follow-up. Open that, please. So you see how segment 1, I used the word segment for your top priority. So your segment 1 was your research assistant, okay?
Yeah.
So the student, instead of me talking to the student like we are, we went back and forth on LinkedIn. So the student at 11:46 wrote the bullet the way he had it, right? And then at 11:59, I was probing. If you notice, I copied some of what they're saying, but in parentheses, I was asking him questions, right? Do you see that part where
Yeah.
it says, how many people? To whom did you give it? What are the quantifiable details? I was probing because the way they wrote it wasn't complete. And then the student at 12:01 said, should I respond? And I said, yeah, please, so that I can help you optimize the wording. So after the student did more thinking, he gave me the information at 12:12. Okay, to which point at 12:51, I was able to take the information and let the reader understand the point in the least amount of words. Okay, where it says subsequent segments, open that. You can refer to some of the other exchanges for the other bullets, but my hope is that gave you ideas as to what you need to do with your research assistant.
Okay.
Let's go back to your research assistant. I want you to ask me questions.
All right. So when I'm writing bullet points for like any position, that I've done, do I need to have like, is it okay if I just have abbreviations, or should I just like mention them the whole thing? Like, I'll get this.
Very good question. So if I were you, I would let the job description dictate a yes or no to that question. Do you understand why?
Yeah.
Because whatever they said in the job description, I would mimic it, right? So that you're a perfect match, right?
Yeah.
Did you notice how I didn't say yes or no to your question? It's really always dependent on their job description. Okay, so let's just assume that they didn't need to know, and let's just assume that it wasn't necessarily VLM. So which part of this first bullet are you wanting them to get?
Large scale fine tuning, this part, and to be honest, like,
Okay, hang on. I'm actually going back to executed. What does executed mean? What are you referring to by executed? Did you run the program? What was that exactly?
oh, I ran the data, like I collected the data set and ran the program, like wrote the
Okay,
program.
hang on. You see, this is where we need to dive into stuff. When you say you executed, but you said you collected what?
Data.
Did you require research?
Yeah.
Okay, you didn't mention any of that stuff. That is attributable to Dev. Okay,
Yeah.
did you see how you kind of like simplified it and just said executed? But it sounded like you did much, much more.
Yeah.
What did you collect exactly?
Data sets, a lot of research
Oh,
papers.
exactly. How many data sets did you go through? How many research papers? That's all quantifiable. That gives them context as to the magnitude of your impact. So what I would suggest is actually go back to the index. You see that part, scroll back up to group coaching, please. You see that part that says tailoring, maybe not, or that part where it says task descriptions versus results and impact. You may listen to that, okay? I mean, these sessions are essentially a session like me, so I'm noticing that it's starting to get like unwieldy, so I started trying to put what the coaching was all about, but to supplement our discussion, I'm saying that you have these recordings to help you with what I just referred to. So back to your resume, did you understand what I tried to unpack? You just said executed, but to me, there was much, much more that could give context to Dev's contribution.
Yeah.
Questions?
For if I have to quantify reading research papers, how do I put that? Like, went through X amount of research papers to achieve this objective?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you go back to the index, I tell you guys to use AI to collect those pieces of information in a much more, I mean, because before I told students to use AI, I had to do it for all the students, but you can imagine how cumbersome that back and forth would be for you and me, right?
Mm.
And you're not the only student, right?
Yes.
So that's why I'm kind of giving you all the tools. So by the time you come back for like it would kind of like be a last opinion from Bernie, but you did majority of the heavy lifting before you come to me. Because before I did the whole thing with the student, but like we said, there's lots of students. So that's when I started giving you these tools to hopefully get to the final version. So back to you. Questions about, back to your resume, man. I think you have enough to work on. I'd like to see you refine your research assistant.
Okay.
Okay, so what I want you to do, unless I see you in the next session, is I want you to just grab the 4 bullets that you have and just say, hey, Bernie, via LinkedIn message, just say, hey, Bernie, this was the original. This is my proposed. And then you saw my back and forth in that document that I shared with you, my back and forth with the student. Let's do that for research assistant. I want to make sure you understand what we discussed with this concept, and then you can go to the next one.
Okay.
Okay, now we're more directed because I want you to catch the concept. Plus, we're really scrubbing it so that you're standing out. Do you think you'll be able to attempt a better summary at the same time?
Sure, for sure.
Okay,
for sure.
so give those 2 a shot for our next meeting. But meanwhile, send me a LinkedIn message, kind of like that student did.
Okay, I'll do that as well.
Questions?
No, not at this moment.
I think you got it, right? You have enough to chew on for the next step?
Yeah.
All right, Deb. Good
All
job.
right.
I mean, I can see the improvement. It's improving little by little, and you're catching the concepts that we talk about. So very nice work.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll be looking for your LinkedIn message, and then we'll
Sure.
take it from there. All right?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Take care, Deb. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.